And the second thing I realized is a lot of those organizations or teams had the word AI, but they had no idea how to make that product a good product as per the lens of the client.
Some time ago, I heard the phrase, the best code is the code that is not written because
Exactly.
I won't have to maintain it. Here we are in another episode of Product Chronicles the Brazilian Way. Three Brazilians talking about topics related to product development, product management. And this is Joca here.
I'm Fabio.
And Paulo, Caroli.
And the topic that we decided to talk about today is a hyped topic, I would say. Everybody's talking about, and we're gonna bring our views on the application of this topic in the product development world. So the topic is AI, artificial intelligence. And one thing that we were discussing prior to entering here the studio was many people are talking about using AI as a productivity tool for product managers, for product designers, for engineers, especially engineers with all those AI generated code and AI finding bugs and helping supporting the code development. But one thing that I miss a lot is we as a community of product development and product management discussing using AI as the technology that helps us solve customer problems while we generate results to the company. So maybe that's the lens that we may put here. But open to you, Paulo and Fabio, to discuss the topic.
Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to bring my experience. I'm the creator of Linkception, and since 2011, I've been on, I don't know, per year was like 20. Every year, like in Brazil, was like from 2 to 4 every single month of Linkception. So I've been following up large organizations or medium organizations creating digital product. And a few years from nowadays, the word AI starts showing up almost in every single Inception being part 2. The first thing I realized is the tool set. The speed that developers, designers are doing stuff that have been changing on the past years. And the second thing I realized is a lot of those organizations or teams had the word AI, but they had no idea how to make that product a good product as per the lens of the client. In fact, I helped some organizations just do AI for doing AI, and their product didn't do any good. They didn't make any money out of it. So those are my two big learnings. As a tool, amazing. Speed up some of the stuff. For delivering product, we still need to find the value despite of AI.
Yeah,
And I'll send it to Fabio.
No, I was going to say that the thing about AI is that I have this bias because I was working with AI in 2012, I believe, or 13. And it was purely mathematical, right? It was a bunch of mathematical methods. And especially the company that I was working with, I was creating products that they were doing some similarity algorithms. And eventually, they even participated in that famous, if you're old, Netflix contest that you should, Netflix was giving $1 million to whoever made their recommendation algorithm 10% better. Those guys, they went all the way to 7%. And then, they said, yeah, from 1 to 5%, you do it in a month. From 5 to 6%, you do it in 10 months. And from, I don't know, 7, whatever they stopped, to 10%, you need a century or $100 million, or you need a lot of people working because, it's a logarithmic progress. So those guys were good enough, that they didn't have any money to continue. Eventually, whoever won that contest was a consortium with IBM and a bunch of big companies. But those guys were there, so they were working on those on that problem. Like, okay, if somebody has a certain behavior, what are the possible future behaviors for that person, right? And if you're familiar with LLMs, that's pretty much how an LLM works, right? If I'm writing this word in that context, what are the most probable next word of it if we're talking about language? So it's pretty much the holy grail of what I was doing back. But my point is, it's still a mathematical problem. So I believe that what we're missing here is that which problems with those very powerful mathematical correlations, which problems should be solved? Because even that kind of recommendation algorithm eventually just became something that every store has. Oh, if you bought this, you should buy that, and it's usually disappointing. Even Netflix, the recommendations pretty much suck. I would say, it's not good, and so we kind of stumbled into and why isn't it good? Like it can't Netflix do something better? Of course they can, but maybe the incentive is not even there. Like it doesn't really drive a lot of value, so they'll probably not invest in something if you can always just say, oh, watch our new show Wednesday, or watch Stranger Things. Why would you waste millions of dollars, doing a very, very specific recommendation that would work, spending a load of money, in a very expensive IA model? So that's the example that I was working with, and I don't see a lot of value there. But maybe there are other problems in the world which we didn't have the maths, to solve it, and now we do. And I believe that we're lacking the imagination to kind of figure out what those problems really are.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good point. Even giving a step back, because this is technology that help us solve problems. And one thing that we need to understand about AI is that AI is able to give us solutions that are probabilistic, which means they are not deterministic. They are not, that's the solution. They give a range. So there is a 90% chance that the solution is this one. And this is completely different. There are problems that we don't want a probabilistic solution, that we need a deterministic solution. For instance, if we are checking our bank account, we want to know how much we have in the bank account for sure, not with 90% of certainty, but we want to know for sure that we have, I don't know, $100 in our bank account, not 90% chance that you have $100 in your bank account. So the first step is figuring out, do we need a deterministic solution or do we need a probabilistic solution? And then when we enter into the probabilistic solution, everybody's talking about generative AI, the LLM that generates text. There are other generatives that generate images, generate video, generate code, generate songs. But there is another. I've been using this distinction between generative AI and analytic AI. What does analytic AI do? It's focus on recommendation, prediction, recognition, like image recognition and things like that. So those are the two different types of solutions again. And we need to figure out what is the kind of solution that we need. So it's important for a product manager and a team to be able to understand all those tools and when it makes sense to use one or the other.
I would say that you touched in a very sensitive topic because we should acknowledge that our IT teams, for decades now, they only deal with deterministic solutions. That's what programming languages do. Like they're very logical, and you should know the outcome of an algorithm. That realm of not knowing, but probably the solution is good enough, is completely new to our internal teams as well, and they will not be comfortable also adopting those solutions.
Yeah, totally agree. That it makes people uncomfortable because it's not auditable. It's difficult to audit the solution because if the input is A, the answer could be X, 90% of the time, but 5% of the time could be Y, and 3% of the time could be Z, and so it's difficult to audit. It's difficult to debug. It's another game.
Yeah, but I would say that it's a better simulation of the real world, isn't it? Like we do not live in a. I mean, you can argue that the world is deterministic, but we don't know the rule set, right? But I would say that in our perspective, life looks very random. Like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna buy, a bottle of pop with I don't know, a pack of Pringles or whatever. Sponsor us, please, Pringles. Um, I don't know that. Maybe, I'm just felt like going to the market and seeing what's there, and maybe I'll have some random will of buying something, and the marketing wizards will say, "Oh, that was the predicted behavior, right?" But yeah, it's totally probabilistic. Most of the things that I do in my life are probabilistic, right? I have no idea what I'm going to say next. I'm coming up with what I'm talking about. So I would say that it's a very interesting shift in the model, the way that we model your user behavior, to also give them the benefit of probability. Just say, oh, maybe that's what you really want. I know you click that button, but I don't think that's what you need right now. And so making it more tangible. What if instead of putting a menu with all of the features of our product, why don't we just show the most probable features at any given point? And then the user will be, oh, I'm so lost because where is the print button? Okay, are you going to print now? No, not right now, but I just wanted to know where it is. Like, okay, when there is time for you to print something, you'll see a print button. Don't worry about that. You don't need to know where the button is going to be because we're showing just two buttons on every screen, so you're guaranteed to actually see the most important functionalities there. If we designed our websites taking that into consideration, they would be a lot better. So that's a completely new model of user interaction and user expected results. But I would say that the user will probably adapt to that faster than companies, because we don't live a deterministic life for most of our things. Of course, my bank account, yeah, it should be very deterministic.
Yeah, yeah, and we are talking about it, and the three of us went through that, right? We start with DOS, command line, and then came the graphical user interface, and the whole world changed graphical user interface. And now ChatGPT came back to command line style, which is great for non-deterministic because we have no clue what the user is gonna do. But we're only at the beginning, right? I wonder what's gonna be the user interface in the future. In the future, I'm saying 3-5 years from now, because I don't think it's gonna be all similar to command line. We saw this before and things change, but I don't know if the new one how it's gonna be, because it's the digital products are not as they used to be.
Well, I think I know, but just because it's a fun exercise. But if you look at every single science fiction movie, book, it's going to be voice. Like it's there already. So I would say that voice is the most universal form of communication, right? More than writing. Some people cannot write
Less
well.
visual,
Huh?
more voice than, because nowadays it's very visual, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then text.
yeah.
yeah. But you know what? I heard last week. Yeah, last week I was in an event around AI, and they were bringing cases of implementing AI, and they've implemented a dashboard with reports and things like that, but with a conversational interface. That's the name that people are using, conversational interface. And they launched the tool, the feature, with a conversational interface for you to ask for any dashboard, any reports. And they noticed a big surge on usage in the very beginning, but after that, no one wanted to use it anymore. It was like the excitement of a new thing. Let me try it out. But then, after playing with it. Oh, that's okay, but I don't need it.
That'd be
But
very
then they
abstract.
change it back to the very traditional interface of buttons and checkboxes, and then the usage normalized again in a regular type of usage. So not everything will need a conversational interface.
Yeah, of course. Especially if you have the button to do something, and now instead of a button, you have to, type a whole
Yeah,
sentence. You're going back. It should peop, all the things should take less effort, not more
exactly,
effort
exactly,
to
exactly.
be adopted.
Yeah, and sometimes I think talking to a machine is way much effort than just clicking a few buttons, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
Yeah, when
that's
I'm
that.
doing my vibe coding, sometimes I I go into that dilemma like, I just need to change something so simple, I'd rather just go into the code and just change it,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
explaining to the computer, oh, I want to change this, but don't change that and don't do this, and be careful not to destroy whatever else you've done. It takes a lot of work sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. And talking about vibe coding, where do you see vibe coding taking us? Because I mean, I've been playing with Lovable, Replit, and other tools, and I used to code in the past, but I have not been doing because I don't know about you, but it became too complicated. I mean, coding it
We
became
got
way
old, yeah,
yeah, I'm very old-fashioned.
yeah,
Just one file, a Perl script or even
exactly.
a Pascal script, a C script, But nowadays it was becoming more and more complicated. But I don't know if those new tools. I realized I'm back programming again. I'm back writing code. Not writing code, but yeah, I could say I'm writing code. And well, how do you feel it?
I feel that, and I said that before. I'm not sure if in the show, but me and Caroli, we studied in the same university and computer engineering, and we had classes with most of the guys were PhDs. Like the teachers are really really academic. So I remember distinctively when I was studying programming languages one, and that name is very literal. Like they're not teaching uh, a programming language. They would teach us the principles of any programming language. So we would have to know, what a loop is and what I don't know, a conditional statement is, but also how that would work in procedural languages and non-procedural languages, and also if you go all the way to the end of the class, like the what's a deadlock, what's concurrent language, concurrent processes, and how to program in that, and so there were it went all the way to the object-oriented language, but not the functional ones that didn't exist yet, or at least they weren't as widely used. So we had this big grasp of the history of programming language. It was pretty cool, and the teacher would repeat always, okay, we started with assembly, and then we realized that we could write with assembly. We could write something that would read a higher level of code with a higher level of abstraction. So instead of 50 commands in assembly, we could just write something in a pseudo English kind of language that would be, do more or less the same as 50 different commands in assembly. And then we're using that stack, I don't know, in C, if we will, we could build an even higher level language on top of it. And as we say, the expression higher language means more and more similar to natural language, so more and more similar to English, if you will, or Portuguese or Chinese. And that was always the deal with programming languages. The progress, and there was this, everybody would agree in the academic world that the progress was towards more natural language for you to interact with a computer. You shouldn't have to know C or assembly or Pascal or nowadays React or Flutter. And then we had a little bit of no low code kind of solutions, right? And I would say that WordPress was pretty much the most famous no code platform. and then it became really complicated. Like I used to do some consultancies on WordPress and I'll program a little bit on PHP. It got so complicated after a while. Like everything gets kind of unusable if you try to put too much functionality in that. So I would say that the low code platforms, they're kind of not it yet. People, and all respect to people that love like Bubble or Framer, but I would say they're still pretty complicated for somebody that does not understand anything about computers to actually go there and do something meaningful. So I would say that finally with LLM, we had this burst, from pretty complicated stuff to super simple natural language stuff. And finally we met where we thought, almost 100 years ago, that computers would get to.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
getting there.
yeah, definitely. Have you had any experience, Paulo, as well?
Yeah, I played some of those tools, and I'm also being involved in some large organizations. The one thing that I realized or saw happening on the code base is we're committing much more code much faster, and that's giving a harder problem that now you need more senior people to handle more legacy code. It's kind of weird because we are training less people in programming, because you, me, or a product owner start vibe coding, and then that goes to production. If successful, legacy code is terrible, but young people cannot handle that big mess we are creating really fast. You need very smart, very experienced people that know programming, but no one's training those anymore. So it's weird. Another point, I used to be a developer. I stayed as a developer for several years, right? Until Inception came my way. And one thing I realized, I was reading the article. I used to do TDD a lot since Kent Beck published his book, 2001. And it was really cool, right? For people that don't know, like TDD, test-driven development, whatever you're building, right? Think about a new feature. First, you make a test that shows that feature doesn't exist, it fails. And then you write the code to make it pass, and then you refactor. Once it's passing, you improve it. Also, for extreme programming, you do it in pair because you're talking to someone and then you're improving it. And then, in fact, I work at Google. When you commit in the common code base, you need approval to make sure it fits the architecture of the organization and everything. Nowadays, what people are doing with AI, guess where's the human, where's the AI there? It shocked me, when I got to know these in large
Yeah,
organizations.
AI is checking for standards and letting code get in the base or not.
Yes, as a tool set, but the humans are writing the test, not AI. Because back then, I would use tools to help me handle the test coverage. Now it's the opposite. The humans write the test because we're back to specifying when we
Yep.
write the prompt. So we got to be really good at specifying. That's the test. The tool writes the code, and that did strike me because that was the part that was fun, writing the code. But no, forget about it. The tool write the code, you refactor, or you or the pair, the humans refactor, because now we're creating a big mess too fast. You got to make sure that you look at that refactoring. If you leave this to the tool, in large organizations, large code base, we'll be in trouble because no human being assisted or no assisted will be able to handle. Small organizations are what Fab and I are doing with the Lean Factory to test fast an idea, perfect. I'm talking about very large organization, you know, we still need the humans to handle it. And those things are changing fast. All the two sets improving, but we still need humans in the loop, especially to the refactor, to the not the code quality per se, but to make sure we understand it.
Well, we mentioned something very important, which is give back the responsibility to the team to identify and define very good success criteria, right? So that's something that sometimes I would say not very well done in some organizations. So if you're using AI, you can't escape it. You need to have very, very well defined success criteria, or else the AI will just, not be able to assist you. And there's something that should be discussed also with the IT team, and I had this discussion before, which is architecture wise, because if you're working with a mono repo, just one repository like a monolith of code, people will be a lot more afraid than of letting an AI tool loose in that to kind of rewrite code. And if you have a more distributed architecture, it's way easier, right? Because you can just give modules to the AI, and those modules wouldn't hurt the entire organization. So maybe you could just give the user interface to the AI, and the backend, wouldn't be done by AI, something like that. And it is something that also, uh, in my way of seeing that, and I love, some engineering guys to start discussing that out loud. At least I haven't seen some architecture. You can make conscious architecture choices to make it easier, for you to use pieces of your organization with pure AI.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, with this event that I went last week, there were three engineers. They were telling their experience with vibe coding, and it was very, very interesting because they went to do a very simple product, an internal product. I don't know, maybe a file repository, documentation repository, something like that. And they explained their expectation was to have it done in one weekend because it's vibe coding. We are three developers. We know what we are doing, and and they mentioned that after 3 months they weren't able to finish the code, and they gave up. And we discussed afterwards, and they said, yeah, it's easier to build, but that doesn't mean you're going to build something that is usable. And us, especially us engineers, we like to tweak the code, we like to play with the code, and we didn't have a clear vision or a clarity of where we want to get. So even though it's easier to build things now, um, the fact that we need product management, we need a clarity of where we want to get the product vision, the product strategy, this continues to be essential, right?
Yeah, you touched on a point that is really dear to my heart, which is one, you need, just like I said, you need very well defined success criteria. You can't just like, "Oh, I'm gonna use AI and then I'll figure out what I want." The AI is probably going to destroy what it's done previously. But second, and that's a very important thing that you touched upon, which is the delivery of the AI. You should know how you can measure the success of that delivery in a different way. So if I'm a developer and I only see code as the delivery, it's probably not going to work until I have a gigantic prompt, with all my idiosyncrasies as a developer and what I consider good code, right? So I would say that I would abandon that mindset and just approach AI as well, it's going to deliver something to the user, not to the developer. So it is a black box, and it's not a problem. It's really not a problem. Oh, but I want to tweak it. That's a problem. You know, Uh, don't use AI then. Of course, I'm just saying that right now into 2025, maybe in a couple of months, it's going to be super easy to collaborate, and the AI will understand your style of coding. But I would say that right now, um, I, w- I'm afraid it would be a waste of time, for you to kind of force uh, uh, a square peg in a round hole. Like the AI is very, very good at delivering screens and deliver functionalities to the user. You shouldn't care about code that much.
Yeah, yeah. And a quick disclaimer, since AI moves so fast, we are recording this in the end of September, so it's dated. We know it's
Yeah,
dated.
yeah.
Probably things gonna change in the next 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So just a disclaimer here.
This is going to age like milk.
Oh, Joca, one thing you talked about, you even mentioned that you're using Lovable. AI right now, I think it's amazing for, I like the word MVP and fast prototyping. right? On large organizations, you need other tools beside the woohoo vibe code is doing. In fact, the word lovable, it comes because those guys there, they were into MVP. And if you guys know, like, there's MVP, MDs, all those articles, and they love that article that said it's not minimal viable product, it's minimal lovable product. In fact, their name came from there, which I think is the perfect fit for using AI. Validate something really fast, that's beautiful. We can do this nowadays. Before, to do an MVP would take a while. Now, Fabio, how long took you to do the MVP for the last client we worked with?
Uh,
Two,
uh,
3 hours?
yeah, and then about a week, like tweaking, some functionalities that they said, oh, we want that to work in another
Yeah.
way, and a couple of days more, I would say. Yeah.
But now the disclaimer. Before building it, we spent time with that client to decide, okay, what to build and what not to build. Because every single client that came to us in the Lean Factory app, I have an idea. And it's always a huge thing, right? Even worse if they talk to GPTs and AI, because I keep on telling you, what about this? Do more. I can. AI is the I can thing, right? So the most difficult thing is the human contact, nailing down, saying, okay, what not to build and what to build. Okay, now let us figure out how to validate it. AI,
What I did,
Lovable, V0, all of those are amazing for
yep.
this.
What I did and what I do actually, because I've also just finished a little party game with a friend of mine that we're doing that just for fun. So what I do is just I jump in Miro or some kind of board and I do a wireframe and I kind of test it, in my mind. Like, okay, so I click here, I do that, so I know exactly what I'm trying to build, and that helps a lot for the AI to come up with a good result, really, really fast.
Yeah, yeah. You can even send pictures to
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That helps a lot. That helps a lot.
Keep it simple, please.
Yeah, yeah. And and,
The-
and we need to be careful because AI, so they want us to do more.
yeah,
And we should be doing less. I don't know if you had the same experience with
yeah.
ChatGPT. You ask something, they give the response, and
And
after
more,
that,
and
hey, do
more,
you
and
want
more.
me to do this and this and this?
Yeah.
No, there's no
Yeah,
need.
they want to sell
Just do
tokens,
it.
right? So yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
they want
And
That's why I
proof
created the
that.
agent for
Huh?
this. We have the agent for MVP, the chat MVP, which is the opposite. Based on our experience, what is the minimum, and give idea of being more minimum.
can we
Don't
do less? Can we do
don't
less?
give more. Exactly. Do less. And of course,
Do
I gave
less.
a lot of examples, right, to it.
And guys,
That
as
helps.
someone that has done a lot of products in my lifetime, I value. I put a very, very high value in removing stuff. Like I know that this is the key for the success, and you're not going to prove me that I'm wrong on this because I know it.
But
But we really need that feature. Yeah, remove it for launch, and you're going to see the magic happening. Because it's
yeah,
ready
the,
so
the
much
word
faster.
the word is not remove it. Do not add right now.
Yeah,
Leave it for later.
exactly, exactly. There will be a time we know for those features, those amazing things that you thought of. But
Yes,
yeah, the
exactly.
minimal product, it should be
Yeah.
minimal. So it's
It's
really
all
something that I do.
amazing idea. Wow, great. Let's do it later.
Some time ago, I heard the phrase, the best code is the code that is not written because
Exactly,
I won't have to maintain it.
exactly, exactly.
Zero
People
bugs.
don't. They should think a little bit more about code in terms of economics. The more lines of code, everything's more expensive. So it doesn't matter if IT says, "Oh no, but that's really easy." Yeah, adding code, it's not about being easy or not. It's more about being more and more expensive, and it's exponentially more expensive. If you have
Adding code,
50 features, the 51st feature is going to be a lot more expensive. So just do one or two features, validate your market, you're good to go.
adding code is adding complexity is
Exactly.
adding maintenance, and adding maintenance adds cost at the end. So
Exactly. Very fast, what happens when you're creating a product is that the first, I don't know, a few thousand lines of code is pure creation, right? So you're 90% creating and 10% correcting code. After 6 months, you're 90% maintaining and 10% maybe creating something. So yeah, keep creating. Don't put a lot of stuff. just created the minimal amount of things for you to validate what you want to validate. And yeah, I always feel that the most successful things that I've done is screens with very little functionality, a big button that would do the most obvious action, and those things work very well.
And going back to the beginning of the episode, have you had the chance to include AI in a product more in the sense of not being able to create code, but to create a solution for a problem of the customer in a way that generates results to the company?
I would say that yes, but not amazing. I did release a conversational interface for a certain part of a system of a product, and that would replace the app. Because at least in the Brazilian environment, people they remove their apps, they uninstall the apps very frequently because the phones are not super new. They need more space, blah blah blah. So we actually we started phasing out the app, and we're replacing that with WhatsApp chat. So although it's not a super exciting development because it's pretty much changing the front end, but at the same time, yeah, we needed a good conversational AI to actually answer messages and answer the user in a way that it wouldn't hallucinate. So there was a little bit of work there to calibrate the AI accordingly, but wasn't anything more exciting than this.
Joca, I usually work with large organizations. Up to now, 2025, majority of them that did succeed with AI was handling cost-saving opportunities. AI for something that would, for example, customer service. This kind of stuff people are using. Those are giving good results. The ones on value generation on those medium to large organizations I have seen,
Not that.
I haven't been there. Of course, I heard from smaller startups and this, but not the medium to large. Which I think they
Yeah,
should pay attention to this as well.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I had a chance during my time at Lopez. We had a chance. We even said back then it was pre-Gen AI. It was only the analytic AI, but we used to say that we were beyond the digital transformation. We were in a AI transformation. And why is that? Because we had a lot of data. We have really a huge amount of data in our hands. We learned back in 2021 that what Loft, one of the biggest startups here in Brazil in real estate, have sold during the entire 2020 was what we were able to sell in like 2 weeks at Lopez, because Lopez was bigger, was a very established company. So we realized we had a lot of data in our hands, and we decided to figure out how to use those data, that data, in order to generate value to the customer. And one of the things that we used is in the similarity algorithm, the algorithm, because it's basic e-commerce. When you search for an item, oh, the people who bought this also bought this and this and this, or got interested. We use the same but for properties. If you like this property, you're probably going to like this and this and this. And the original algorithm was based on 3 variables like price, neighborhood, and number of rooms or bedrooms. That's simple. And we had the coverage of like 70% of the base with similar properties. And we decided to bring the data team and build a more intelligent algorithm, not using only those 3, but including more variables and using machine learning in the sense of the properties that were clicked more, they gain a bigger rank in the algorithm. And we were able to implement this algorithm, and we were able to increase from 70% coverage to almost 100% coverage. And not only that, we were able to increase the number of clicks in similar properties in 106%, and the number of leads generated, business result, in 25%. So we had a very interesting experience using analytic AI, not the generative AI, but analytic AI. But I've been seeing some interesting examples of generative AI as well. I was mentioning this is an American company called donotpay.com. What they do is they help in the legal area for small issues like pay overdue or things like that. They help you to claim your rights in these situations or traffic penalties or things like that. And there's another one, a Brazilian one that I really like called Dieta.ai or Diet.ai. It's like Fabio said, it's an interface through WhatsApp. Here in Brazil, this is very important because people uninstall because of the size of the app. So it's a WhatsApp interface, and you send a picture of what you've eaten, the meal that you've eaten, or you describe the meal that you've eaten, and they give you back the nutritional information, the number of calories, carbohydrates, and protein, and fat, and good fat, and not so good fat. So it's very, very interesting.
The good fat and the tasty fat.
Exactly. Yeah. So nice. And
Nice.
well, we are already in 40 minutes, so I believe it's time for us to wrap up. Any final comments?
Yeah, we're still at the beginning of this, so everything is still a little bit speculative. We don't know where this is going in terms of how it's going to impact uh, both the products and the way that the products are developed.
Yeah.
But I'm
Uh,
excited to see where this goes.
yeah. I would add like let's pay attention to the human and agent interaction. Don't forget this when you think about process and how to think about the next generation. Think about interacting humans and agent, not only agent and not only humans.
Human in the loop. Human in the loop.
I can translate that. Please write good APIs for the agent.
Cool. And one other thing, I've been seeing many people with some anxiety related to AI. What's it gonna be? How is gonna be the product management role and the designer and developers? And what I like to say, the piece of advice that I take myself, this piece of advice, I've been practicing it, is put your hands on those AI tools, play with them, see what they are capable of doing, because with that you came from theory to practice and you understand, and this will lower a little bit your anxiety. And with that we close another episode. Thank you all for watching, listening, and send us your questions, your topics you want us to talk about, and see you in the next episode.
It was a pleasure. Ciao.
See you.